Good morning. I'm Pete Najarian. This is The Take for Market Rebellion on this Friday, the shortened week, and we talked about a wacky Wednesday. How about looking back to Thursday just for a moment? Thirsty Thursday. Why is it thirsty? Because it almost would drive you to drink the way the markets were trading. We were down 500 plus points at our lows when we look back at yesterday. And then late morning, an absolute rush of about 300 points to the upside. Now, we gave back some of that, and we finished the day down 260 points. Now, let's always remember something. Down 260 points on an entity that's trading at the levels that it is, percentage-wise, this is not as significant as it would have been 2, 3, 4 years ago. And I think sometimes you have to just be reminded of that. Next, you look over at the NASDAQ, sort of a similar story. The NASDAQ was getting absolutely pounded. And then we get this big rally. We get about 200 points of a rally that actually allows us at the very end of the day, we were moving around and shifting around, but we still finished down about 100 points. It was not a great day of trading, but some great reversals off of the lows. There's no doubt about that. Now, both the major indices, they both ended up being down about 0.75%, not 1%, a little bit less than 1%, 0.75%. Which is why when you look over at the volatility index, yes, we spiked to 20. And that lasted about as long as you can blink. And before you know it, we were back in the 19s. That's where we closed. We actually got between 18 and 19 for the volatility index, finished right around 19, but we just can't sustain over that 20 level. And that's been somewhat of a theme of late, of these short-term spikes and then the immediate pullbacks. Volumes, you guys, I don't care if you get tired of it, doesn't matter. 40.6 million contracts yesterday. Again, the volumes continue to be in that upper 30 million, up and even above that in the 40 million. So another extraordinary day of volumes. Apple, 2.3 million contracts of that. AMC, yes, it's continuing to be a rebel, 1.3 million contracts. And Tesla, 1.2 million contracts. That's the million club that's up above there. But you still had Virgin Atlantic, we had Amazon, we had NEO, which we talked about yesterday. I jumped on the halftime report if you had an opportunity to see that with a couple of these. NEO, that call buying at the 43.5 level. Today it actually opened up at 47 before pulling back a little bit, but it's just been amazing. When we've seen unusual options, take a look at Oracle. That's another one from yesterday that I used when I was on the halftime report. Just as a phoner, but I also talked about Apple. Now, Apple, when we were talking about it, was more about all of the option paper that had been coming into Apple. It made this significant pull back, and that, I think, created the opportunity. That's what we were discussing there. And you take a look at Apple today, you know exactly why I got a pretty big smile on my face, because NEO opens at 47, Oracle's now up and over 87, and Apple with a nice spike back after getting that sell-off yesterday early in the morning. So a lot of different reasons why I'm smiling today. But I will tell you crude. Now, crude started the day around 72. It actually started to build back up a little bit, finished right a little bit above that 73 level. What was really under pressure yesterday? Well, certainly if you look at the financials, you look at industrials, you look at materials, down 2%, down 1.5%. Across the board, a lot of those various categories, those sectors taking the brunt of the hit. Technology down about 1%. Energy actually improved during the day from being down fairly significantly to only finishing down about 0.4%. That was part of the rallies back from those lows that we were talking about. So a couple names that really just definitely stood out for me yesterday. How about Moderna? This is a name we talk about all the time. Now, you look at all of what was going on yesterday, and you look over at Moderna, and it's up 5% on the day. Pretty nice performance yesterday. Apple was down $3 and then rallied off of those lows. Microsoft down $3, rallied off of those lows. I take a look over at Amazon, actually finished up on the day over 1%. There's a lot of different reasons behind that, a lot of news behind that. And Tesla up about 1.25%. So really an incredible bounce back of a day off of a lot of different, you look at the pressure on all the major indices, that really wasn't impressive. So the yo-yo just continues. Yesterday, we're down 500 points in the pre-market. We were down more than 500 points on the lows. You come in today, you take a little quick look at your machine. You might have rubbed your eyes a little bit because you see the Dow up 260 points in the pre-market. You see the NASDAQ not doing a whole heck of a lot, not nearly the participation. As a matter of fact, it still until now had not really been participating all that much. Last I looked, it started to, because we were up about 55 points on the NASDAQ. So starting to see a little bit more of a participation. But we opened, we're up 170 points. Before you could blink, we're up 200 points, then 350 points. Last I looked, we were up nearly 400 points on the Dow, a really significant move to the upside. You look at that volatility index that we were talking about, we were in the 20s. We closed at 19. You know where we are today? Call it the 17s. I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if we start pricing ahead, being a Friday, and see ourselves somewhere actually maybe potentially closing in the 16s today. But we'll see how that all plays out. We got plenty of time. You got the 10-year bouncing back a little bit. You got crude oil bouncing back even a little bit more. Talked about it being in that 72. It got up into the 73s. Last I looked, I think I saw it a little bit over 74. So we're seeing a little bit of a bounce back in a lot of different categories, including what we've talked about. It's crazy to say this, but you know what's been a very stable market for a while now? Bitcoin. 33,000. We've been talking about this range, 33,000 to 35,000. Yes, we went underneath 33,000 yesterday, rallied back today, and here we are once again above that 33,000 level. So it's amazing to look at how much Bitcoin has found itself in this restricted sort of an area, while we're seeing the markets just kind of flow up and down. And like I say, been a real yo-yo. You start off today, every single sector was in the green. And then we started to really accelerate to the upside, and we started to see financials up about 2%, materials up nearly 2%, industrials up about 1.5%, energy up 1%. What was lagging? Technology. We were seeing a big, big lag in technology, starting to catch up a little bit. As I said, we were closer to flat at the start of the day. And the last I looked, we were up about 55 points on the NASDAQ. So we're seeing a little bit of that participation. So what are some of the names that really do stand out this morning for us? The upgrade on GM up about 4%. That's dragging along Ford, and maybe even a little bit of a drag to Tesla as well. They're participating as well to the upside. The railroads. Now, we talked about some of the pressure on railroads. How about the now performance bouncing back? CSX looking pretty sharp. Norfolk Southern with a nice little bit of a rally. I'll tell you what, there's a couple other names that stand out for me. I'm looking at Gap Stores up 5%. We have had a lot of unusual option activity in that particular name. When I break down the financials, and this is a discussion I had on Tuesday with Scott Wapner on the halftime report, we were talking about American Express. He said, "Peter, you kicking yourself for selling American Express?" I said, "Absolutely not." And he kind of looked at me puzzled. "It's up 15% or whatever he said." I said, "Look, I like to go for what I think is where the performance is." That was a great name. It was a very inexpensive name. It traded nearly in the single digits. It was trading like 10, 11 on the PE scale. But because of this run, it now trades up into the 20 plus area on the PE scale. And it's had a very magnificent run. I'm okay. I've missed the last little bit. Capital One, on the other hand, is an absolute juggernaut. This thing has been explosive, far outpacing just about every other of those competitors in this category of finance when we're talking about credit cards. Take a look at what's going on in Capital One today. It's up 4 to 5% today. That's a really nice move again, bouncing, and again, single digit PE, maybe pushing towards 10. And this is a name that just continues to be an unbelievable performer. You know what else is in that specific space? How about Discover? Discover Card, DFS, this one with a nice move as well, up about 6%. Goldman Sachs, it's up. Everybody always wants to talk about Goldman Sachs. Nice move, it's 2%. It isn't anything close to some of these others in terms of the kinds of moves that we are seeing in some of that credit area right now. So, got a couple of unusuals. We'll get the heck out of here. Apple, number one. Now, Apple, we had more hitting yesterday, late afternoon. When I say late, I mean in the last few minutes of the trading session. We had a buyer of 12,000 of the July 149 calls, regular expiring July 149 calls. Today, stock was trading about 143.70. We had a buyer much smaller, so this isn't nearly as large as a lot of the option paper that we've been seeing in there, but nonetheless, 2,700 the July 23rd expiring, the 149 calls. So they just keep on coming somewhere within the July 9th, now all moving all the way out, and regular expiration, the 23rd as well, the 149. So certainly a lot of folks out there looking for Apple to make a pretty significant move to the upside. it's already rallied back pretty nice. Last I looked, I think it was up over 144 today. And I will be trimming, and I've got many expiring options that are coming in for today, but I also have options out a little bit further out into the future that I'm going to be holding on to. Never even touching the stock. Love the stock. I've got one more for you. It's an EV company, PTRA. This has not hit on our system, so it's brand new for us, but it's pretty interesting and some pretty decent size. Stock was trading about 1680 at the time. We had a buyer of 10,000 of the August 20 calls. Now, those started out at 25 cents, went all the way up to 75 cents by the time when they were able to get this filled. They also, at the time of this buying, bought 13,000 of the August 30 calls. So they're buying the August 20s, not spreading it. They're also buying the August 30s, 10 cents up to about 25 cents. So some pretty nice, aggressive option paper coming into that space. We've been talking about this EV space whenever we see it, whether it's a workhorse or a NIO or a Tesla or whatever. Just want to highlight this one because we had not seen this one before. Before I go, I got a couple of quickies. Number one, the bull. You got to love the Giddy Up shirts. Love these things. Absolutely. This one's one of my favorites. You've seen it before. If you go to the Minnesotan, you will be able to go to the Giddy Up section. You can buy these shirts. They're absolutely phenomenal. The material's unbelievable. And you'll be helping out the folks at Twin Cities Lime because a portion of those proceeds do go to Twin Cities Lime, which is very, very something we really very much appreciate, that the Minnesotan has partnered up with us to do this, and that you might want to be able to buy something, whether it's a hat or a pair of shorts or a long sleeve or a pullover or a golf shirt like this. All of them. They got Giddy Up, they got the Take, and they also got the bull out there. So I appreciate you checking that out if you can. Also, we've got the round table on Monday. Yep, we'll be back. And who do we have on here? This ought to be fun. My man, Stephen Weiss, is going to be joining us. Steve's always a character and a half. You know him from the halftime show. He is a very fun, very intelligent guy, and he'll be on there, and I'm sure he'll have a lot of remarks that I'm sure will cause a lot of laughter along the way, but he's also a very serious guy as well, and we appreciate him joining us on Monday. So look forward to that on Monday on the Market Rebellion page. Folks, have a great day of trading. Have a wonderful, safe weekend, and I look forward to seeing you on Monday.